The morning sky over New Seoul was perfect. Two suns cast golden light across the city's glass towers and green parks. Children played in the streets while their parents headed to work. Ships moved through the air lanes carrying cargo and passengers. Everything was normal. Everything was peaceful. Commander Dae-hyun stood in the defense control room high above the city. He sipped his coffee and watched the morning report scroll across his screens. Nothing unusual. The colony had been growing for 20 years now. 2 million people called this world home. They had farms, schools, factories, and dreams of a bright future. Hana walked into the room carrying a data pad. She was his second in command and his best friend. They had served together for 15 years. She smiled at him, but the smile faded when she looked at her pad. "Sir, we have something strange on the long-range sensors," she said. Her voice was calm, but Dae-hyun knew her well enough to hear the concern underneath. "Show me," he said. He set down his coffee and moved to the main display. The sensors showed ships. Lots of ships. They were coming out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the star system. Dae-hyun counted them quickly. 50. No, 70. The numbers kept climbing. 100. 150. "That's a fleet," Hana said quietly. "A big one." Dae-hyun felt ice in his stomach. "Try to contact them." Standard greeting protocols. Hana worked at her station. She sent out messages in every known language. Human languages. Alien languages. Universal translation codes. Nothing came back. The fleet kept moving toward New Seoul. They were not slowing down. "Wake up the governor," Dae-hyun ordered. "Alert all defense stations. Raise shields to maximum. This doesn't feel right." Across the colony, alarms began to sound. People looked up at the sky with confusion. Most of them had never heard these alarms before. Defense platforms in orbit powered up their weapons. Shield generators hummed to life around the major cities. Juan was in her laboratory when the alarms started. She was a scientist who studied faster-than-light travel. She had been working on new engine designs that could make ships go even faster. Now she stood at her window and stared up at the sky. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The alien fleet came closer. Dae-hyun tried everything to contact them. He sent messages. He sent warning. He even sent pleas for communication. The aliens ignored every attempt. They moved into attack position above the planet. "Sir, I'm reading power spikes on those ships," Hana said. Her hands moved quickly across her controls. "They're charging weapons. All of them." Dae-hyun grabbed his communication device. "All defense platforms prepare to engage. All civilians move to emergency shelters immediately." This is not a drill. He had maybe 2 minutes before those ships could fire. He tried one more time to contact them. One more chance to avoid bloodshed. His voice was steady when he spoke into the communication system. "Unknown fleet, this is Commander Dae-hyun of the colony New Seoul. We are a peaceful settlement. We have no weapons that could threaten you. Please respond and tell us why you are here." For a moment there was only silence. Then a voice came through. It was cold and cruel. The translator struggled with the alien language, but the meaning came through clearly enough. "Humans, you have expanded too far into space. You have built colonies without permission from the Galactic Council. You are a young species that does not know its place. We are here to teach you a lesson. We are here to show you what happens when lesser beings forget their position." The communication cut off. Dae-hyun looked at Hana. She looked back at him with wide eyes. They both knew what was about to happen. "Get everyone to shelter now," Dae-hyun said. "And send an emergency message to Earth. Tell them everything. Full tactical data. Record everything that happens here." The first shots came from orbit. Bright blue beams of energy stabbed down from the sky. They hit the defense platforms first. Metal and fire exploded in orbit. Each platform had 50 crew members. They died in seconds. The platforms tried to shoot back, but the alien shields were too strong. Then the beams hit the city shields. The protective energy barriers flickered and held. For maybe 30 seconds they held. Then they began to fail. One by one, the generators overloaded. The shields collapsed. Dae-hyun watched his screens with horror. He could see everything from his high position. He was helpless to stop any of it. The alien weapons turned toward the city itself, toward the homes and schools and hospitals, toward the 2 million people who lived and dreamed under that perfect morning sky. "Sir, we have to evacuate," Hana said. She was pulling him toward the door. "The building is a target. We have to move now." They ran through the corridors. Other officers ran with them. Outside they could hear the screams. They could hear the explosions. The building shook as weapons hit nearby. Glass shattered. Fires started spreading through the lower levels. Jiwon ran from her laboratory as the building began to collapse. She clutched her research data to her chest. Years of work. Years of hope for faster ships that could connect human colonies. She ran toward the emergency evacuation shuttles. All around her, the city was dying. The alien bombardment was systematic and thorough. They destroyed the government buildings first, then the power plants, then the communication towers. Then they simply started destroying everything else. Residential areas, shopping districts, parks where children had been playing just minutes before. Daehyun reached the emergency shuttle port. Hana was beside him. A few dozen other survivors gathered there. They launched the shuttles as fast as they could. The small ships rose into the air and tried to escape the dying city. Behind them, New Seoul burned. From space, Daehyun watched his world die. The shuttle had a small observation window. He pressed his face against it and watched fires spread across the continents. He watched cities vanish under alien weapons. He watched 2 million lives end. Jiwon was on another shuttle nearby. She held her research data and cried. She had friends down there. She had colleagues. She had favorite restaurants and parks and places she loved. All gone, all burning. The alien fleet did not chase the fleeing shuttles. They did not care about a few survivors. They had made their point. They had delivered their message. After 2 hours of bombardment, they stopped. New Seoul was dead. The cities were ruins. The farms were burning. The dreams were ash. Hana worked at the shuttle's communication system. Her face was pale, but her hands were steady. "I'm sending everything to Earth," she said. "Full tactical data, ship counts, weapon signatures, everything we recorded." Daehyun nodded slowly. He could not take his eyes off the dying world below. He activated the communication system one more time. His voice was quiet, but every word was filled with cold fury. "Earth Command, this is Commander Daehyun. New Seoul is gone. 2 million dead. The Galactic Council did this. They called it a lesson. They called us lesser beings." He paused and took a breath. "They think we will beg for mercy. They think we will surrender. They are about to learn what humans do when you slaughter our children, when you burn our homes, when you murder our families." Another pause. His next words were a promise. "They wanted to teach us a lesson. We are going to teach them one instead. Make them remember. Make them regret. Make them burn." The transmission ended. The shuttles flew into deep space. Behind them, New Seoul burned under alien skies. The survivors carried their grief and their rage into the darkness. And far away, Earth was receiving their message. The emergency signal reached Earth 48 hours after New Seoul died. It came through the deep space network in encrypted bursts. Military computers decoded the message and immediately sent it to the highest levels of government. Within minutes, alarms were ringing in every government building across the planet. President Minho was in a meeting when his security chief burst through the door. The look on the man's face told Minho everything he needed to know. Something terrible had happened. He excused himself and followed the security chief to a secure communication room. They showed him the message. They showed him the tactical data. They showed him the recordings from New Seoul's final hours. Minho watched cities burn. He watched people die. He watched an entire world destroyed by alien weapons. His face remained calm, but inside he felt a cold rage building. "How many dead?" he asked quietly. 2 million, sir. Maybe more. The colony is completely destroyed." Minho closed his eyes for a moment. 2 million people. Men, women, children, all dead because some aliens decided humans needed to learn a lesson. He opened his eyes again. They were hard as stone. "Call an emergency session of the Global Defense Assembly. Contact Fleet Admiral Hiren. Get Director Woojin from Advanced Warfare. I want them all in Geneva in 6 hours." 6 hours later, the leaders of Earth gathered in a secure room deep below Geneva. The room had no windows. Armed guards stood at every entrance. Nobody was allowed to leave until decisions were made. Fleet Admiral Hiren arrived first. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had commanded Earth's space forces for 10 years. She had fought pirates and dealt with minor conflicts at the edge of human space. But this was different. This was war against a galactic superpower. Director Woojin came next. He ran the Advanced Warfare Division, Earth's most secret military research program. Very few people knew what his teams worked on. hidden research stations scattered across the solar system, developed weapons that nobody was supposed to know about. Today those secrets would be revealed. Other leaders filed into the room. Military commanders, intelligence chiefs, political leaders from every nation on Earth. They all knew why they were here. They had all seen the message from New Seoul. President Minho stood at the head of the table. He did not waste time with speeches or politics. He simply played the message from Commander Dae-hyun. Every person in the room watched in silence. They watched cities burn. They listened to Dae-hyun's final words about teaching the aliens a lesson. When the message ended, the room was absolutely quiet. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They were all trying to process what they had just seen. The murder of 2 million innocent people. An unprovoked attack on a peaceful colony. Then someone slammed their fist on the table. It was Admiral Hiran. Her face was red with anger. Those alien bastards think they can do this to us? They think they can kill our people and we will just accept it? The Galactic Council has also sent us an ultimatum, Minho said. He pulled up another message on the main screen. They say we must submit to their authority. We must close all colonies beyond a certain boundary. We must accept their rules and their laws. If we refuse, they promise to destroy more human worlds. They expect us to surrender, someone said in disbelief. They expect us to beg, Hiran corrected. They think we are weak. They think we are primitives who got lucky with space travel. They have no idea what we are capable of. All eyes turned to Director Woo Jin. He had been sitting quietly, his face expressionless. Now he stood and walked to the front of the room. He pulled up files on the screen. Top-secret files that most people in the room had never seen. For 30 years we have been preparing for this day, Woo Jin said. His voice was calm and cold. We knew eventually we would face aliens more powerful than us. We knew we needed weapons that could level the playing field. So we built them. He brought up images of ships and weapons, strange designs that looked nothing like normal military equipment. Project Prometheus. Our answer to alien superiority. Let me show you what we have. The first image showed missiles, thousands of them, AI-guided swarm missiles. Each one has its own intelligence. They adapt in real time to enemy defenses. They learn from each other. If the enemy blocks one missile, all the others immediately adjust their approach. You cannot defend against them because they evolve faster than you can react. Next came something that looked like a torpedo, quantum disruption weapons. They tear apart the molecular bonds in matter. Alien shields cannot stop them because they work at the quantum level. A single hit can cause a ship to literally fall apart. Then mines, slipstream mines. We can deploy thousands of them across an entire star system. They hide in the space between normal space and faster than light space. The enemy cannot detect them until it is too late. Finally, huge cannons mounted on ship hulls, plasma lance destroyers. They generate focused plasma beams hot enough to cut through any known armor or shielding. In our test, they went through 6 feet of titanium in 2 seconds. The room was absolutely silent. Everyone stared at the weapons on screen. These were not defensive weapons. These were designed to kill, to destroy, to overwhelm any possible enemy. How many ships do we have equipped with these weapons? Minho asked. 50 dreadnoughts are fully equipped, Hiran answered. We can support them with 300 destroyers and carrier groups. We also have over 5,000 automated defense platforms with similar weapons. We have been building them quietly for years. The Council has thousands of ships, someone objected. We are still outnumbered. Numbers do not matter when you have the right weapons, Woo Jin said coldly. One of our dreadnoughts can take out 50 conventional warships. Our swarm missiles can overwhelm any defense. Our quantum torpedoes can destroy their largest ships with a single hit. Minho looked around the room. He saw anger on every face. Grief and fury mixed together. These people had just watched 2 million humans die. They had heard the Council's arrogant ultimatum. They were ready for war. The Council expects us to send diplomats, Minho said. They expect us to beg and negotiate. Instead, we are going to show them what happens when you attack humanity. Admiral Hiran, present your battle plan. Hiran pulled up a star map. It showed dozens of systems where the Council had military bases, shipyards, and fleet positions. Red markers appeared on many of them. Operation Righteous Fury, Hiran said. We will not defend. We will attack. We will hit every major Council military position simultaneously. We will destroy their shipyards so they cannot build more ships. We will destroy their supply lines so their fleets cannot operate. We will hit them so hard and so fast that they will not have time to respond. She zoomed in on one system, the Galactic Prime system. This is their military headquarters. The alien who ordered the attack on New Sol is probably there right now, celebrating his victory. This is where we hit first and hit hardest. Captain Yuna will lead the assault, Heron continued. Her flagship, the ESS Indomitable, is our most advanced dreadnought. She will take 50 capital ships and supporting forces. Transit time to Galactic Prime is 72 hours. What are our expected casualties? Someone asked. Wujin smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Minimal. The Council has no idea these weapons exist. They think they know what human military technology looks like. They are wrong. We will have complete surprise. By the time they understand what is happening, it will be over. Minho stood again. He looked at each person in the room. This is a decision for all of humanity. We can try diplomacy. We can try to negotiate. Or we can show the Council that you do not attack Earth and walk away. What is your vote? Every hand rose. Every person in the room voted for war. They voted for revenge. They voted to show the galaxy that humanity was not weak, that humanity did not surrender. That humanity hit back twice as hard when attacked. Then it is decided, Minho said. Admiral Hyerin, launch Operation Righteous Fury. Show the Council what happens when they murder our children. Show them what humans are truly capable of. No mercy, no negotiations. Make them regret every life they took from us. Hyerin saluted. Yes, sir. They wanted to teach us a lesson. We will teach them instead. Within hours, the fleet began to mobilize. Ships left their docks and formed up in space. Crews loaded the secret weapons. Captains received their orders. 50 dreadnoughts, 300 destroyers, carrier groups with thousands of fighters, all equipped with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Captain Yuna stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. She was young for a captain, but she had earned her position through skill and courage. Now she had the most important mission in human history. She looked at her crew and saw the same cold anger she felt inside. Set course for Galactic Prime, she ordered. Maximum speed. We have a message to deliver. The fleet jumped into faster than light travel. Behind them, Earth prepared for whatever came next. Ahead of them, the Council had no idea what was coming. They thought they had taught humanity a lesson. They were about to learn one instead. The Galactic Prime system was the heart of Council military power. 3 massive shipyards orbited the main planet, each one capable of building 100 warships at once. Defense stations covered every approach to the inner system. 400 warships patrolled the area in rotating shifts. The Council considered this system absolutely secure. Councillor Thanakor stood in the command center of the main orbital station. He was tall even by Galactic standards, with 4 powerful arms and scales that gleamed dark red in the light. He had personally ordered the attack on New Sol. Now he was celebrating with other Council leaders. The humans will send diplomats soon, one of the other councillors said. He was from the insectoid Kresh species. They will beg for peace. They will offer us anything we want, Thanakor laughed. It was a harsh sound. Of course they will. They are primitives. They only got into space a few hundred years ago. They cannot possibly threaten the Council. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Should we have killed so many of them? Another councillor asked. This one was Nixari, a being made of living crystal. 2 million is a large number. It was necessary, Thanakor said firmly. They needed to understand their place. They were expanding too quickly, building colonies without asking permission, acting like they were equal to the Council races. We had to show them the truth. The celebration continued. Food and drink were served. Council officers congratulated each other on a successful operation. Nobody questioned whether it was right. Nobody worried about consequences. The Council was supreme. The humans were nothing. 3 days after New Sol died, the alarm started ringing. At first, Thanakor thought it was a drill. He almost ignored it. Then he saw the faces of his officers. They looked scared. Really scared. He moved to the command center and looked at the screens. Ships were appearing at the edge of the system. Lots of ships. They were coming out of faster than light travel in perfect formation. The sensors counted them quickly. 50 large warships, 300 smaller ones. And something else. Thousands of smaller objects that the sensors could not quite identify. What species is this? Thanakor demanded. Who dares enter our space uninvited? An officer worked at his station. His hands were shaking. Sir, the identification codes say they are human ships. Silence fell across the command center. Everyone stared at the screens. Human ships here? That was impossible. The humans should be cowering in their home system. They should be preparing surrender terms. They should not be here with a fleet. There must be a mistake, Thanakor said. But his voice was uncertain. The humans do not have this many warships. Our intelligence report said they only have a small defense fleet. Our intelligence reports were wrong, sir. The human fleet was not slowing down. They were not trying to communicate. They were simply advancing into the system at high speed. Their weapons were powering up. Their formation was perfect. This was not a diplomatic mission. This was an attack. Captain Yuna sat in the command chair of the Indomitable. Around her, the bridge crew worked with cold efficiency. They had trained for this moment. They had prepared for this battle. Now it was time to make the Council pay for what they did to New Sol. All ships report ready, her tactical officer Sunho said. He was young but brilliant at his job. Weapons are charged. Swarm missiles are loaded. Quantum torpedoes are armed. Plasma lances are at full power. The Valthek fleet is moving to intercept us, another officer reported. 400 ships. They are raising shields and preparing to fire, Yuna smiled. It was a cold smile. They still think their shields will protect them. They have no idea what is coming. Sunho, begin the attack. First wave, quantum torpedoes. Target their capital ships. Yes, Captain. Firing now. The Indomitable and her sister ships launched the first wave. Quantum torpedoes streaked across space at incredible speed. They were small and hard to detect. The Valthek point defense systems barely had time to react. Most of the torpedoes got through. They hit the Valthek shields and simply passed through them. The shields were designed to stop energy weapons and solid projectiles. They could not stop weapons that operated at the quantum level. The torpedoes detonated inside the shields directly against the ship hulls. What happened next was terrible to watch. The quantum disruption field spread through the molecular bonds of the ship metal. Atoms lost their connection to each other. The metal began to fall apart. Hull plates separated. Internal structures collapsed. Entire sections of ships simply disintegrated. Thanakor watched in horror as his fleet started dying. 20 capital ships were hit in the first wave. Within seconds, they were breaking apart. Atmosphere vented into space. Crew members died by the thousands. He had never seen anything like this. "Return fire!" he screamed. All ships return fire immediately. The Valthek fleet launched their weapons. Energy beams and missiles shot toward the human fleet. But the humans were ready. Their ships moved with incredible speed and precision. They dodged most of the incoming fire. The few hits that connected were absorbed by shields that seemed far stronger than they should be. Second wave, Yuna ordered. Launch swarm missiles. All launchers fire. Thousands of missiles erupted from the human ships. They spread out in a massive cloud and accelerated toward the Valthek fleet. Each missile had its own artificial intelligence. Each one could think and adapt. They communicated with each other constantly, sharing information and coordinating their attack. The Valthek point defense systems tried to shoot them down. They destroyed hundreds of missiles. But for every one destroyed, 10 more adjusted their approach. They learned from the losses. They found gaps in the defenses. They worked together like a swarm of intelligent insects. The missiles reached the Valthek ships and detonated. But they did not explode randomly. Each one had analyzed its target and found the weakest point. Some hit hangar bays and exploded inside, destroying dozens of fighter craft. Some hit weapon systems, taking out guns and missile launchers. Some found their way to reactor cores and caused catastrophic failures. Explosions rippled through the Valthek fleet. Ship after ship went dark. Power systems failed. Weapons went offline. Engines stopped working. In just 10 minutes, 100 more Valthek ships were crippled or destroyed. "Sir, we need to retreat," one of Thanakor's officers said. His voice was shaking. "We cannot win this battle. We need to withdraw and regroup." "No!" Thanakor shouted. "We are the Council. We do not retreat from primitives. All ships continue the attack." But his fleet was falling apart. The captains were starting to panic. Some ships tried to retreat on their own. Others broke formation and tried to flee. The perfect defensive formation dissolved into chaos. "Third wave," Yuna said. Her voice was still calm, still cold. "Plasma lance destroyers, advance and engage." 20 specialized human ships moved forward. They were smaller than the dreadnoughts but heavily armed. Their main weapons were plasma lance cannons, massive guns that could generate focused beams of superheated plasma. The beams were so hot and concentrated that they could cut through almost anything. The destroyers picked their targets carefully. They aimed for the largest Valtech ships, the ones that were still trying to fight. The plasma lances fired. Brilliant blue-white beams shot across space. They hit the Valtech capital ships and cut through them like knives through paper. Shields meant nothing. Armor meant nothing. The plasma was so hot that it vaporized metal instantly. The beams sliced ships in half. They cut through reactor cores and caused secondary explosions. They killed with surgical precision. Sunho watched his tactical display with satisfaction. Enemy fleet is down to 200 functional ships, Captain. Most of those are damaged. They are trying to retreat. Do not let them escape, Yuna ordered. I want every ship that participated in the new Sol attack destroyed. Every single one. The human fleet pursued the fleeing Valtech ships. It was not a battle anymore. It was an execution. The humans had superior speed, superior weapons, and superior tactics. They hunted down the Valtech ships one by one and destroyed them. Thanakor's flagship was crippled. A quantum torpedo had damaged the main reactor. A swarm missile had destroyed the faster-than-light drive. He could not escape. He could not fight. He could only watch as the human flagship approached. Yuna's face appeared on his view screen. She looked human, weak, fragile, but her eyes were hard as diamonds. She stared at Thanakor without any emotion. You killed 2 million of our people, she said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried across the communication channel. You thought we would surrender. You thought we would beg. You were wrong. Thanakor tried to speak, but no words came out. He had never felt fear like this before. The council was supposed to be supreme. They were supposed to be invincible. How had this happened? Tell your council this is just the beginning, Yuna continued. We are coming for every fleet that threatens humanity. We are coming for every leader who thinks they can attack us without consequence. We are coming, and we will not stop until you understand the truth. What truth? Thanakor managed to whisper. That humans do not forget. That humans do not forgive. That when you attack us, we hit back 10 times harder. She paused. You wanted to teach us a lesson about our place in the galaxy. Congratulations, we learned that lesson. Now you will learn yours. The communication cut off. 30 seconds later, the flagship exploded. Thanakor died without understanding how it had all gone so wrong. The battle lasted less than 3 hours. 400 Valtech ships entered the battle. None of them survived. The human fleet suffered only minor damage. A few ships needed repairs. Total human casualties were less than 200. While Yuna fought at Valtech Prime, other human fleets hit council targets across the galaxy. Shipyards burned. Supply depots exploded. Fleet positions were wiped out. By the time the attacks ended, 60% of the council's naval power was destroyed. The galaxy watched in shock. News spread quickly. The powerful council had been crushed by the supposedly primitive humans. In one day, the balance of power shifted completely. Yuna stood on her bridge and looked at the debris field that used to be the Valtech Armada. She felt no joy, no satisfaction, only cold purpose. Set course for the next target, she ordered. We are not done yet. 1 week after the destruction of the Valtech Armada, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. The council chamber was a massive space station that floated in neutral territory between the major civilizations. It had been built thousands of years ago and had seen countless debates and decisions, but never had there been a crisis like this. The 7 species of the council gathered in the main chamber. The Valtech seats were mostly empty. Only a handful of survivors represented their species now. The destruction of their home fleet had broken their military power completely. The other species looked at the empty seats with growing fear. Counselor Vernix of the Nexari called the meeting to order. The crystal being's voice echoed through the chamber. We are here to discuss the human situation. In 7 days, they have destroyed over half our military forces. Our shipyards are burning. Our supply lines are cut. We must decide what to do. What we should do is surrender, one of the surviving Valtech said. His voice was bitter. The humans have weapons we cannot match, technology we did not know existed. Continuing this war will only lead to more death. Counselor Drath of the Kresh species stood up. He was a massive insect creature with sharp claws and compound eyes. His species valued strength and military power above all else. The idea of surrender disgusted him. We are the Galactic Council. Drath shouted. We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We will not surrender to a species that only discovered space travel a few hundred years ago. This is temporary. The humans got lucky. We will rebuild our forces and crush them properly. Lucky? Vernick said quietly. They destroyed 400 ships in 3 hours. They hit 6 of our military bases simultaneously. They did this with minimal losses. That is not luck. That is superiority. Impossible, Drath insisted. The humans are primitives. They must have found some ancient technology, or they had help from someone else. We need time to study their weapons and develop counters. We do not have time, another counselor said. This was a vole, a being of living gas contained in a special suit. The humans are still attacking. Even now they are hunting our remaining fleets. Every day we lose more ships. The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted peace. Others wanted war. Nobody could agree on what to do. The Council had never faced an enemy like this before. Usually they were the ones with superior technology. They were the ones who could destroy primitive species easily. Now the roles were reversed and they did not know how to respond. Finally, the chamber doors opened. A human walked in. Ambassador Taiyang was a former soldier who had become a diplomat after retiring from military service. He was older now with gray hair and scars from old battles, but his eyes were still sharp and his voice was still strong. The council members stared at him. A human here in their chamber. Some of them felt anger. Others felt fear. All of them wondered why he had come. I am Ambassador Taiyang of Earth, he said. His voice carried clearly through the chamber. I am here to deliver a message from my government. You dare come here after what you have done? Drath shouted. You destroyed our fleets. You killed hundreds of thousands of our people. Taiyang looked at the Kresh counselor without any emotion. You killed 2 million of our people first. You attacked a peaceful colony without warning or provocation. You called it teaching us a lesson. Now we are teaching you one. He walked to the center of the chamber. His footsteps echoed in the silence. He looked at each council member in turn. I am broadcasting this meeting to every inhabited world in the galaxy, Taiyang said. I want everyone to hear what I have to say. I want everyone to understand what happened here. He pulled up images on the main display. Images of New Sol before the attack. Happy people. Beautiful cities. Children playing in parks. Then images of the attack. The burning. The death. The destruction. This is what the council did to us, Taiyang said. They murdered civilians. They destroyed homes. They killed families. All because they thought humans needed to learn our place. All because they thought we were lesser beings who did not deserve respect. Some of the counselors looked away from the images. Others stared with what might have been shame. Vernick spoke quietly. What the council did was wrong. Some of us voted against the attack. But we were overruled. The Valthek and others insisted on showing strength, on teaching you a lesson. And we learned that lesson, Taiyang said. His voice grew harder. We learned that the council respects only force, that the council sees kindness as weakness, that the council will destroy anyone who does not submit to their authority. So we responded the only way you understand, with overwhelming force. You could have tried diplomacy, Vernick said. You could have come to us and talked. You could have avoided this war. Like we avoided attacking your colony? Taiyang asked. Like we gave you warning before we burned your cities? No, you made your choice when you fired the first shot. Now you have to live with the consequences. Drath stood up again. His claws clicked against the floor. The council will never surrender to humans. We will fight. We will rebuild. We will gather every remaining ship and we will attack Earth itself. We will show you that the council cannot be defeated. Then you will die, Taiyang said simply. You will lose every remaining ship. You will lose every military base. You will lose everything. But if that is what you want, Earth will accommodate you. You cannot threaten the council, Drath shouted. It is not a threat. It is a fact. Taiyang pulled up more images. These showed council military positions, shipyards, supply depots, fleet locations. Every remaining military asset the council had. We know where everything is. We have been tracking your forces. We can destroy all of it in a matter of days. The chamber was silent. Every counselor stared at the tactical data. The humans knew everything. They had perfect intelligence on council forces. There were no secrets, no surprises, no hope of an ambush or trap. Vernick spoke carefully. What does Earth want? What are your terms for peace? We want acknowledgement that you committed an act of war, Taeyang said. We want reparations for the families of New Seoul. We want a guarantee that the council will never attack a human world again. And we want a seat on this council with full voting rights. Impossible, Drath shouted. You cannot demand a seat on the council. That is earned over centuries. You are too new, too primitive. We destroyed your fleets in hours, Taeyang said coldly. We have weapons you cannot defend against. We have technology you did not know existed. Tell me again how we are primitive. The Kresh will never accept this, Drath said. We vote to continue the war. We will gather our forces and we will strike at Earth. We will show you what happens when you challenge the council. 3 other species voted with the Kresh. They chose war over peace. They chose pride over survival. Vernix and 2 others voted for peace, but they were outnumbered. Then the council has made its choice, Taeyang said. He looked at the ones who voted for war. You have chosen death. When your fleets burn, when your worlds suffer, remember that you had a choice. Remember that you could have chosen peace. He turned to leave, but stopped at the door. One more thing. The humans you killed at New Seoul were not soldiers. They were farmers, teachers, engineers, children. They had no weapons. They threatened nobody. But you killed them anyway to prove a point. He looked back at Drath. Now you will learn what humans do when you kill our civilians. You wanted to teach us about power. We will teach you about consequences. Taeyang left the chamber. Behind him, the council dissolved into argument. The species who wanted peace tried to convince the others to change their minds. But Drath and his allies were determined. They believed that their combined forces could still defeat Earth. They believed that humans had gotten lucky, and that luck would not hold. Within hours, the decision was made public. The council would continue the war. They would gather every remaining ship and strike at Earth itself. 800 warships from 4 different species would form a coalition fleet. It would be the largest force the council had ever assembled for a single battle. They gave themselves 10 days to gather the fleet, 10 days to prepare, 10 days to plan the attack that would destroy Earth and restore council dominance. The news spread across the galaxy. Some species cheered. Others worried. Everyone wondered what would happen when the council fleet reached Earth. Would the humans be able to defend their homeworld? Or would they finally be defeated? On Earth, President Minho received the report of the council's decision. He called Admiral Hiron and Director Woojin to his office. They had expected this. The council was too proud to surrender, too arrogant to accept defeat. So they would continue to fight even though it was hopeless. They are coming with everything they have left, Minho said. 800 ships, the largest fleet they can assemble. They will reach Earth in 10 days. Let them come, Hiron said. She smiled. We have been preparing for this. The entire solar system is ready. They think they are walking into a battle. They are walking into a trap. How certain are you that we can win? Minho asked. Completely certain, Woojin said. They have no idea what we have waiting for them. By the time they understand, it will be too late. This will not be a battle. It will be an execution. Minho nodded slowly. He thought about the 2 million people who died at New Seoul. He thought about Commander Daehyun's final message. He thought about all the humans who had suffered because of council arrogance. Then we will show them one final lesson, Minho said. We will show them what happens when you attack Earth itself. Make sure the galaxy is watching. I want everyone to see this. I want everyone to understand that humanity will never be threatened again. The countdown began. 10 days until the council fleet arrived. 10 days until the final battle. 10 days until the galaxy learned the truth about human power. The council coalition fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system exactly 10 days after their decision to continue the war. 800 warships from 4 different species traveled in perfect formation. The Kresh had contributed 300 ships. The others added 200 each. It was the largest military force the council had assembled in centuries. Councillor Drath commanded from his flagship at the center of the formation. He stood on the bridge surrounded by his officers and allies from the other species. They all believed victory was certain. Yes, the humans had won previous battles, but those were against scattered forces. Against unprepared defenders. This time the council came with overwhelming numbers and full preparation. Sensors show human ships ahead, an officer reported. 200 vessels. They are in defensive formation around the inner planets. Drath laughed. It was a clicking sound that made his officers nervous. 200 ships against our 800. The humans are fools. They should have fled. Instead, they will die defending their home world. The coalition fleet advanced into the system. They moved slowly and carefully, scanning for traps or hidden weapons. They found nothing unusual. Just 200 human ships waiting near Earth and Mars. The odds were 4-1 in the Council's favor. All ships, prepare to engage, Drath ordered. We will crush them quickly and then bombard their homeworld. Today, the Council shows the galaxy what happens to species who resist our authority. But on Earth, Fleet Admiral Hiren watched the approaching fleet with a cold smile. She stood in the command center deep below Geneva. Around her, hundreds of officers monitored displays and coordinated the defense. Everything was going according to plan. They are entering the trap zone, one officer reported, passing the orbit of Jupiter now. Good, Hiren said. Activate the minefield. Throughout the solar system, thousands of hidden mines came to life. They had been placed over the past 10 days in a careful pattern. Slipstream mines that existed in the space between normal reality and faster-than-light travel. The Council sensors could not detect them because they were not quite in normal space. The mines activated all at once. They shifted into normal space directly around the Council ships. Explosions rippled through the fleet formation. Ships that had been advancing confidently suddenly found themselves surrounded by detonating mines. Shields flickered and failed under the barrage. Hull plates cracked. Engines died. Entire sections of ships simply vanished in the blasts. Drath watched in horror as his perfect formation dissolved into chaos. What is happening? Where did these mines come from? Unknown, sir. They were not on our sensors. We are taking heavy casualties. The minefield destroyed 100 ships in the first minute. Another 100 were badly damaged. The remaining ships tried to escape the trap, but the mines were everywhere. There was no safe path. No matter which direction they turned, more explosions awaited them. All ships continue forward, Drath ordered desperately. We must break through to engage the human fleet. Captain Yuna watched the chaos from the bridge of the Indomitable. Her ship led the 200-vessel human defense force, but they were not the real threat. They were just the anvil. The real hammer was about to fall. Sir, the automated defense grid is reporting ready, Tactical Officer Sunho said. Activate it, Yuna ordered. Show them what we have been building. From hiding places throughout the solar system, thousands of automated defense platforms emerged. They had been built in secret over the past weeks, hidden in asteroid fields behind moons in the shadow of planets. Each platform was equipped with the same advanced weapons that had destroyed the Valtech Armada. The platforms opened fire all at once. Quantum torpedoes, swarm missiles, plasma lances. The Council fleet found itself under attack from every direction. They were surrounded by enemies they could not see until it was too late. The automated systems coordinated perfectly, targeting damaged ships and finishing them off efficiently. This is impossible, Drath screamed. How many weapons do they have? How long have they been preparing this? His flagship shook as multiple hits struck the shields. The shield generators began to overload. Around him, his fleet was dying. Ships exploded. Escape pods launched by the thousands. The communication channels filled with desperate calls for help that nobody could answer. On Earth, Commander Daehyun worked alongside a team of engineers in a secure facility. He had spent the week since New Sol designing the defense network. Every automated platform, every targeting algorithm, every tactical subroutine, he had built this system for one purpose: to make the Council regret what they did to his world. The AI coordination is working perfectly, one engineer reported. Enemy casualties are at 40% and climbing. Daehyun watched the tactical display without emotion. He saw Council ships burning. He saw aliens dying by the thousands. He felt no joy, only cold satisfaction. This was justice for New Sol. This was payback for 2 million dead. Increase firing rate on sectors 4 through 7, he ordered. I want to hit their command ships next. Cut off their leadership. The automated platforms adjusted their targeting. Missiles and torpedoes streaked toward the largest Council ships. The vessels that carried admirals and counselors, the ones making decisions. One by one they died. Drath's flagship took a direct hit from a plasma lance. The beam cut through the shields and sliced into the main reactor. Alarms blared across the bridge. Officers shouted warnings. The ship was dying and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Abandon ship, someone shouted. The reactor is going to explode. Drath stood frozen on his bridge. He could not believe this was happening. The council was supposed to be invincible. They were supposed to rule the galaxy. How had everything gone so wrong? How had the primitive humans defeated them so completely? The answer came to him in his final moments. The humans were not primitive. They had never been primitive. The council had simply been too arrogant to see the truth. They had underestimated Earth based on age and appearance. They had thought youth meant weakness. They had been catastrophically wrong. The reactor exploded. The flagship disintegrated. Councillor Drath died without understanding that his own pride had killed him. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Council coalition fleet was completely destroyed. 800 ships had entered the Sol system. Not one survived. The debris field stretched across millions of kilometers. Escape pods drifted through space carrying the few survivors. Human casualties were minimal. A few defense platforms were destroyed. 2 ships took moderate damage. Total human losses were less than 100 personnel. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Every major civilization had been monitoring the battle. They all expected the Council to win. They all thought 800 ships would be enough to defeat 200. They had been wrong. The battle was not even close. Within days, formal surrender offers came from the Council. The species who had voted for war now begged for peace. They sent ambassadors to Earth with unconditional surrender terms. They offered anything Earth wanted if the attacks would stop. President Minho called one final meeting. Ambassador Taeyang, Admiral Hyerin, Director Wu Jin, Captain Yuna, and Commander Daehyun all attended. They gathered in a conference room overlooking Geneva. Outside, people celebrated in the streets. Earth had won. Humanity was safe. The Council has surrendered, Minho said. They are offering full peace terms. What should we demand? Reparations for New Seoul, Daehyun said immediately. Every family that lost someone should be compensated. A memorial should be built on Hanul 3 so nobody forgets what happened there. Recognition of human sovereignty, Hyerin added. They must acknowledge that Earth is an independent power. We answer to nobody but ourselves. A seat on the Reformed Council, Wu Jin said, with full voting rights and veto power. We will not let this happen to anyone else. Not to humans. Not to other species. The Council needs oversight and accountability. Limits on Council military forces, Yuna suggested. They should not have enough power to threaten peaceful civilizations. Their fleets should be subject to inspection and verification. Taeyang listened to all the suggestions and nodded. I will present these terms to the Council. They will accept them. They have no choice. We won the war completely. The peace conference was held on a neutral station. The Council representatives arrived expecting harsh terms. They were prepared to accept almost anything. What they got surprised them. Earth's terms were firm but not cruel. The Council had to pay reparations. They had to acknowledge human sovereignty. They had to give Earth a council seat. They had to limit their military. But Earth did not demand total surrender, did not insist on occupation, did not seek revenge beyond what was necessary for justice. Councillor Vernix signed the treaty on behalf of the Council. The crystal being looked at Ambassador Taeyang with something like respect. Your species could have destroyed us completely, Vernix said. You have the power. Why did you show mercy? Taeyang thought about the question for a moment. Because we are not like you. We do not attack peaceful civilizations. We do not seek to dominate others. We just want to live in peace and explore the galaxy. But if anyone threatens us again, they will learn the same lesson you did. What lesson is that? That humanity remembers, that humanity endures, that when you push us, we push back 10 times harder. Respect us and we will be good neighbors. Attack us and we will show no mercy. 6 months later, Commander Daehyun stood in Memorial City on Hanul 3. The colony had been rebuilt. New buildings rose where the old ones had burned. Parks and gardens covered the scars of war. 2 million names were carved into a massive memorial wall at the center of the city. Every person who died in the attack was remembered. Hana and Jiwon stood with him. They were the only survivors of the original colonial defense force. They had watched their world burn. They had carried the news to Earth. They had helped plan the defense network that defeated the Council. Now they had returned home. Do you think they learned? Hana asked quietly. Do you think the Council will remember this? They will remember, Daehyun said. He lit a candle and placed it at the base of the memorial. And so will we. Every human will know what happened here. Every child will learn about New Sol, so that if anyone ever threatens us again, they know what is coming. Above them, human and alien ships moved peacefully through the sky. The war was over. The Council had been reformed. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through conquest but through strength. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about underestimating Earth. Daehyun looked up at the two suns setting over Memorial City. The sky was beautiful. The air was clean. Life was returning to this world. The dead were honored. The survivors carried on. He whispered to the evening air, to the memory of 2 million people who would never see this sunset. We remember, we honor, we endure, and across the galaxy, humanity did exactly that.